Hello everyone, welcome to this video. I am Raki Singh, and in this video we are going to discuss a very important topic for your UPSC prelims examination, and this topic is the wetlands. This topic is from your environment and ecology subject, and we everybody know how important this subject in our prelims examination. Not just for prelims, it is equally important in our mains examination as well. So before moving ahead, before discussing this topic, we will discuss how important this topic in the prelims examination. If we analyze the previous year questions, if you take the prelims paper 2019, you will find there is one question on wetlands. And furthermore, if you take the paper of 2022 prelims, you will see two questions were from wetlands. Look how important this topic is. Two questions in one prelims from this single topic. So in this video, that's why we are going to discuss each and everything you need to know about wetlands, this topic, and how important it is for our biodiversity, our environment, and for us as well. So first of all, let's see what are wetlands. Wetlands are areas where water is the primary factor controlling the environment and the associated plant and animal life. So if we break down the word itself, it says that it is a land which is wet. It's very simple, a land or area which is wet, simply meaning wetlands are the water bodies. For example, lakes, rivers, and any water body which supports the environment surrounding us and the plant and animal life surrounding it. So in simple terms, we can say wetland are the areas or the region where we find water, and these are the water bodies which control or which affect the environment surrounding it and the biodiversity dependent or associated with them. Okay, it includes marshes, swamps, bogs, floodplains, and they can be natural. If we see the type of the wetland, then we find that they can be naturally found, or they can be artificially made or human made wetlands as well. For example, if we see the natural wetlands, we have lakes, rivers, estuaries, deltas, ponds, etc. Or if we see the man-made or the artificial ones, they are the reservoirs, rice fields, or we have. So before moving ahead to discuss the types and the threats to wetland, just discuss the characteristics of the wetland in short, and those characteristics you can use or quote your mains answer writings as well. First is wetlands can be natural and it can be man-made or the artificial. We have just seen we have natural wetlands also, we have the man-made wetland also. The second characteristic is water of the wetlands can be permanent type or it can be temporary type. Permanent means throughout the year there is water in that water body. Temporary meaning only for some time period or for any particular season there is water in the water body, and otherwise in other season or other time period the water is not there in the body. Third characteristic, if we talk about, then water of the wetlands can be static or it can be flowing water. Static means the water which is not moving, which is stagnant at one place. For example, lakes water, for example, ponds water, it is not moving anywhere, it is there at one place. And if we say the flowing or the moving water, we can see some rivers, streams, channels, they are the flowing water. So wetland can be of either type. Next, the characteristic is the water salinity. Water of wetland can be fresh water, it can be salt water, it can be brackish water as well. Brackish meaning not too fresh, not too salty, it's like medium density is the brackish water. So these are the few or overall characteristics of wetlands that you can understand the feature of the wetlands and the characteristics, so you can use in your answer writings as well. The next, we will discuss the types of the wetlands. If we talk about the Ramsar classification, there are 3 types of wetlands, and don't worry, for the Ramsar we will discuss Ramsar convention, Ramsar sites, what are the Indian Ramsar sites, so don't worry for that. Now let's see the types of wetland. First is the marine or coastal wetlands. Marine or coastal wetlands meaning which wetlands are or which water bodies are associated with the ocean water or the sea water. For example, the coral reefs, the seagrass beds, estuaries. They are the examples of coastal wetlands. And if we see next one, it is the inland water wetlands. Wetlands meaning the water body which is inside the coast, is not having the coast to the sea or ocean. For example, lakes, river, floodplains, ponds or deltas. Deltas can be a marine wetland or it can be inland wetland as well. Next is human made wetland, or we can say the artificial wetlands. These are the salt pans, reservoirs, sewage treatment areas, rice fields we have discussed already. So these are the three types of classification or three types of wetlands on the basis of Ramsar classification. Next, discuss the importance of. Now let's discuss the importance of the wetlands. Why these water bodies is so much of importance? Let us discuss now. They provide habitat for biodiversity, including the migratory birds. This is a very good or very suitable environment or habitat for many of the species, be it of plant species, animal species or migratory birds come here for certain time period in any season. So they create or they provide a good habitat for a lot of plant or animal species. Next is it acts as a carbon sink and help in climate change mitigation. What do you understand by carbon sink? Carbon sink is a region or an area on earth which absorb carbon dioxide in it. What does that mean? It absorbs the carbon from the atmosphere, which leads to the reduction of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which ultimately going to do what? It will reduce the temperature or the global warming from the planet. So these wetlands are really very helpful in climate change mitigation. So the next is control disaster like floods by absorbing excess water. They play a very important role in controlling disaster as well. For example, if let's say this is the Indian coast and we have wetland like Sundarban here, Chilika Lake, the Pulicat Lake and many other lakes as well. When it is a Indian Ocean or the Bay of Bengal, when the cyclone form here, they come to the coast or the land. When they hit the land, what does these wetlands or the lakes do? They absorb the excess amount of water and it ultimately reduces the impact of that cyclone or the storm. So they are very important in the disaster controlling or risk controlling features. Next is act as natural water filter, improving water quality. How these wetlands improve the water quality? Let's see. Let's say this is a wetland or a water body. There is a water permanently in it. What happens? The water which is there permanently, it sinks down or it percolates to the soil. Further, it percolates to the ground level. So what happens? The water is recharging the groundwater we have that we extract to our use for drinking, for irrigation and other purposes. So this groundwater recharging is happening through the wet. Supports fisheries, agriculture and tourism. Agriculture, we have just seen, we use the water from these wetlands, lakes or ponds for our irrigation purposes as well. And we can see like rice fields. We grow rice on these kinds of areas. They are very suitable for the rice cultivation. The fisheries, they are the water bodies. We do fishing here. Tourism also, there are a lot of many beautiful lakes in country or in the world as well. They attract tourists from all over the world. So this is an economic importance of the wetlands. Next is, if we see, these are the economic and environmental importance of the wetland. If we see the last one, this is a cultural importance of the wetlands. Many wetlands are sacred site for indigenous community. In our country, there are many indigenous community or tribal community which treats or which recognize these sites or these wetlands as very sacred site. They worship these sites. So the wetlands have very much significance for those indigenous people as well. So moving ahead, we have next is the threats of the wetland, threats to the wetlands, or the challenges the wetlands are facing nowadays in recent times. So what are these? The first is encroachment and urbanization. We have seen that we are moving towards development and growth, and India is on path to become a developed country. So what is happening in the country? Like we are developing infrastructure, we are developing roads, industries, residential areas. So what we are doing, we are just reducing the areas, the natural areas, and building or constructing the infrastructure from these areas, in these areas. So what happens ultimately, the area which is the natural area for the wetland or the biodiversity of plant and animal, it is reducing, and it is reducing. So that is why it is a threat. The urbanization and the encroachment to these wetlands is a threat to the wetlands. Next is pollution. We see the industrial wastes, agricultural wastes or runoff from fertilizers or pesticides. Farmers use fertilizers and pesticides on their farm, and with the water or with the rainfall, these chemicals run off to the water body. Domestic waste, the wastewater from the household. So all the wastes or the pesticide or the chemicals, they go to these water bodies, and it create pollution there, and it harms the marine life as well and the plant life there, and it creates a challenge for the survival of that ecosystem. Next is the climate change. How climate change is threatening or challenging for wetlands. Climate change leads to temperature rise and changing rainfall patterns. If there is a region where rainfall is good amount, so the water is there, but if there is any change in the rainfall pattern due to the climate change, we see the drying up of the lakes or the ponds. We have seen like Aral Sea or many lakes in the world, they are drying up. Why? Because of the climate change, the rising temperature, the changing in the rainfall patterns. Next is over extraction of water. This is a very huge, we can say, the problem, because we every day we use water for our use, be it from drinking, from agriculture, or for industrial use. So we extract water from the ground, and the concerning thing is that the water is going or recharging to the ground is less than we are extracting. So there is a mismatch between the extraction or the groundwater recharge. So we are doing the over extraction of water. It should not like that. It should be a balance between the groundwater recharge and the extraction of that water. So the next is the invasive species like water hyacinth choking wetland. What happens sometime in a wetland, there emerge invasive species of plant, or we can say the animal as well. So what happens, they harm or they create a challenge for the survival of the native species there. We have seen the water hyacinth example, and we have one fish species recently in news which is a very invasive in nature, and it is creating threat to the native fish species in that native ecosystem. So these are the threats or challenges wetlands are facing. These are some environmental, some natural, and some anthropogenic which we are creating for the wetlands. Next is the wetlands conservation. If we see the international conservation, then we see the Ramsar Convention. It's very famous. You all have heard about that. Ramsar Convention we will discuss in detail, but let's see what is Ramsar Convention. It is a global treaty for wetland conservation. It is an intergovernmental treaty where the signatory countries or the government countries come together, discuss the issues, and on those basis they initiate some effort to conserve the wetlands. The next is the Montreal Record, a list of threatened Ramsar sites. What we see, that Ramsar Convention designates some wetlands or water bodies as the Ramsar sites. These are the important wetlands for the ecosystem or the environment. But out of these all Ramsar sites, there are some wetlands or water bodies which are really threatened, or we can say which needs immediate conservation, otherwise they are going to be extinct or they are going to be dried up, or it's a huge challenge or threat is there for them. So Montreal Record is a list of the threatened Ramsar sites which need immediate conservation efforts. If we see today on recently, our Loktak Lake and the Kailadev National Park of Rajasthan is in the Montreal Record, which means they both wetland need immediate conservation efforts. Earlier Chilika Lake also is in there, but now with the government effort we have reduced the threat in that, so now it is out of the Montreal Record. Next is the UN Sustainable Development Goal, that is 6 and 14, to protect water bodies. We all know we have 17 SDGs, so one of those for the protection of water bodies. These are the international. Let's look at the national level initiative for the conservation of these water bodies. First is the Wetlands Conservation and Management Rule of 2017. These rules restrict activities harming wetlands. Next is the National Plan for Conservation of Aquatic Ecosystem, which is a government scheme for the conservation of ecosystem, that is aquatic ecosystem. Next is Ramsar sites in India. As of 2024, there are 75 Ramsar sites in India, and this is a 2024 data. So now there is change, so you can look to that. Next is eco-sensitive zone, restricted area to prevent damage. Government announce or like recognize some areas as eco-sensitive, which is very fragile in nature, and there we cannot permit all the activities, all the human activities. So these are the restricted areas where only few activities are permitted by the government. So with these efforts, our government is trying to restore the wetlands. And next is Ramsar Convention. Now I'll discuss the Ramsar Convention in much detail. It was established in 1971 in Ramsar, which is a city in Iran. In 1971, a conference or a meeting held in Ramsar in Iran, where all the countries sign and initiate a conservation effort for the wetland, and this is known now as a Ramsar Convention, and it came into effect in 1975. Next, what are the objectives of this Ramsar Convention? It is an international treaty for the conservation and sustainable use of wetlands. Three pillars of the convention is the conservation of wetlands, wise use of resources, and international cooperation. So what are the three pillars on which the Ramsar Convention is working or functioning? First is the conservation of wetlands. Simple. We are reading this topic and we are seeing the challenges or the threats to the wetland. So this is the first objective of the Ramsar Convention, is to conserve the wetland. Second is the wise use of resources. The natural resources we have, the water, the other species of plants, so we have to use them wisely, we have to use them sustainably. Next, a third pillar is the international cooperation. For this conservation, we need to cooperate, we need to come together. All the countries around the world, they need to come together to conserve our natural resources. The next is India is a signatory to this convention. So yeah, India is a party to this convention, and we have many beautiful Ramsar sites which needs conservation, and government is trying their best to do their conservation. The next is Ramsar sites in India. If we see some major Ramsar sites, so we find like Sundarbans. This is the largest Ramsar site in India. It is in West Bengal. Some part is in Bangladesh also. Next is smallest Ramsar site is the Renuka wetland, which is in Himachal Pradesh. And other are notable sites like Loktak Lake, we have discussed, it is in Montreal Record also. What does that mean? It needs immediate conservation efforts. Next is Chilka Lake. Chilka Lake earlier was in Montreal record, but now the condition is better, so now it is not in Montreal record. Next is the Vular Lake of Jammu and Kashmir. There are some other also like Sambar Lake, the Nakti Ke Nagi of the Bihar, Kela Dev of Rajasthan. So these are the major Ramsar sites, and if you see the whole list, you can Google it, so you will find the whole list of the Ramsar sites in India. Way forward. So we need to do what? We need to strictly implement the law. We have the law, we have the rules, we have the conservation convention on wetlands or the water bodies, but what we need to do, we need to implement them strictly. The next is community involvement in conservation. To conserve the water bodies or the wetlands, we need to involve the community surrounding it. We need to take people participation for conservation of their localized wetlands. Next is sustainable tourism and awareness campaign. We need to aware people about the importance, the significance of the wetlands, and how our activities are creating a challenge for the survival of the wetlands species which is associated with the wetlands. And we need to promote the sustainable tourism. Next is scientific research and monitoring. We need to monitor what is happening, how we are conserving, is there any change or not. Next is restoration of degraded wetlands. Degraded wetlands means which has been degraded due to any of the activities, be it natural activity or anthropogenic by us. So we need to restore the degraded wetlands. Next is public-private partnership for conservation efforts. We need to involve the private player with the government effort to conserve the natural environment. Next is the strengthening wetland management policies. We need to strengthen, or we need to come up with a holistic approach to conserve the wetlands. We need to come with a holistic policy for the management or the conservation of the water bodies. Now, as we discuss all the things that we need to discuss, now just for the conclusion, we can say that wetlands are critical ecosystem for our biodiversity, climate resilience and economy. We have seen all the things, all the importance for the lives of the people or for animals or the plant species. For the biodiversity is very important. Climate resilience, we see the carbon sink system, not system, it's a function, wetlands function of carbon sink. It's very resilient to climate change. And the next is economy. We can say that tourism to these wetlands or the lakes, it is a part of our economy. Or the farming activities, the agricultural activities, fisheries, these contribute to the economic importance of these wetlands. Effective conservation policies and global cooperation are essential to protect these vital ecosystems. We need to come together, we need to come with a holistic policy, we need to cooperate to conserve these water bodies. So yes, now it is all. Thank you so much for watching this video.